Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Study Civil Engineering. I am Engineer Harisata Syal and I am going to teach you computer programming language C++. So if we look at the previous lecture in which we have discussed the introduction to computer and different languages. So I will give you some highlights of the previous lecture, what we had studied before. First of all, we studied what is computer, what is computer program, what is programming, languages, types of languages, language processors, errors. So this was the highlight of the previous lecture. So if you have not gone through the previous lecture, I will put the link in the I button. You can, I would suggest that you would go through that lecture if you want to understand the basic C++ computer programming language. So from now on, I will be discussing more topics related to computer programming, and I will be giving you basics of computer programming so that you can understand from the basic level, from the root level, and you are going to know what the different type of syntax available in computer programming and how to understand the different syntax, its types, and the basic codes and basic errors found in computer programming language. So you can grab the idea of, like, if you are a newbie and you want to learn C++ language, then this video will help you a lot. So starting our today's lecture, introduction to C++. C++ is a general purpose programming language designed and implemented by Bjorn Stroustrup in 1979 at Bell Labs. It runs on various platforms such as Windows, etc. Initial version of C++ was called C with classes. So C++ is a better C. I have told you about the C in my previous lecture. Supports data abstraction, supports object-oriented programming, supports generic programming. So if you are new to these terms, don't worry. We will learn these terms from basic level in detail. So simple example. Let's try to understand what is C++ language and how it works. So let x be an integer variable whose value is equal to 7. So let x be an integer. It's a variable and we are assigning the value 7 to that integer. So now x plus will increase the value of x by 1. So before going ahead, I would assume that you know the basics mathematics here before going ahead. Like you know what is integer and what are different type of numbers used in mathematics. So just go through these basics and then you will be at a better level of understanding. So let x be an integer whose value is equal to 7. Now x plus will increase the value of x by 1. Plus is an increment operator, so x plus will make x is equal to 8. Here we are trying to understand the programming language with simple mathematics. So if we are assigning a value to a variable, then if we add increment operator plus with that variable, then it will increase the value of that variable by 1. So if we assign the value x is equal to 7, then if we write x plus, then it would become 8 after performing that operator. Hence the name C++ was chosen to denote its being the next or successor or increment of C. So I have told you about C in my previous lecture. So why it is called C++ is just that as we add something in a particular variable, it increases the value of that thing, it improves the value of that thing, or it adds up to the value of that thing. In the same way, when we are going to add C++, we are going to add plus to the C, then it means that it's a better C, it's the successor of that C, or it's next to that C. Okay, you got it? So now we are going to learn these things from the basic or root level. We don't leave any stone unturned. Okay, so going ahead in this video lecture, background knowledge. So there are certain things which you need to know in order to learn C++, and there are certain things which you don't need to know. For example, you don't need to learn C in order to learn C++. So you don't need to learn any other language in order to learn C++. That's the good news for you. We will learn everything from initial or basic level. So this is the benefit of watching this video or video lecture, that you will learn everything from the root level, as I have started from where? if you have gone through my previous video lecture, you will understand that I have started from the very basic level, that what is computer and what is program, then what is programming, and then step by step I'm moving upwards so that you develop a strong foundation for your upcoming lectures. Okay, so in this way you can learn this language very easily if I'm going to tell you some basics or the root causes of everything. So how to write a simple C++ program? So first you need to learn what is function actually. Okay, in order to learn C++, you will have to learn what is function. So what is function? It's a block of code which is going to perform some operations. Okay, so its function is nothing but a block of code or set of codes you need to understand. Okay, it's a block of code which is going to be executed, and it performs certain specific operations you require from that program. Okay, so every C++ program contains one or more functions, one of which must be named as main. So every C++ program must have at least one function, and it could be more than one, but it should have one main function which should be named main. So operating system runs C++ program by calling main. So when you are going to perform a specific task, or you are going to code some specific program, then the operating system, it runs C++ program by calling the main function. It starts from the main function. So it's very crucial that you must assign at least one main function. So what is main function actually, or what is the function actually? So here we are going to tell you, I am going to tell you that this is the block of statement. This is, you can see in the on your computer screen, int main parenthesis bracket starts, and then the curly bracket starts, then it is return 0, and then bracket ends. So don't worry if you are just watching this thing first time, don't worry, I will tell you everything here in detail, like why we wrote int, then why we wrote main, then why we wrote these curly brackets, and then return 0, everything. So a simple version of main that does nothing but it returns a value to the operating system. So as we have already discussed that there is a syntax, there are some protocols, there are some rules and regulations we need to follow in order to ask computer to perform a specific task for us. And we cannot change those things. For example, in English, I always say this example, that in English we have some grammatical rules. In the same way, we have some rules and regulations in programming language in order to tell computer that what we actually require from that. Okay, so this is basically a body. You just need to see it right now and don't go into the detail. I will tell you everything, each part of that structure in detail in the coming examples. Okay, so this is basically a structure or a block of code which is called a function. So now we will be discussing the elements of the function, what these individual things mean. The elements of function includes a return type. What's that? A return type is something like we need to define the type of the function, and then at the end of the block of code we need to return the value we have assigned the type to that function. A function name, it should have a function name. A parameter list enclosed in brackets, and these parameters could be empty. A function body. These four types, if you find these four types, four things in some particular block of code, then it is a function. Now we are going to understand the individual type of these individual parts of this function. First of all, we say this int means integer. This is the short form of integer, which is the return type. Okay, the main is the name of the function, and this in the brackets, this is the parameter list. This could be empty, or we could assign some particular parameters to that function if we require, but this could be empty. And then the curly bracket starts, then the body of the function. Here we can assign different programs or different codes, different variables here in this body of this function, and then return 0. Why we return 0? Because we know in the start when we are going to we are going to start from the main function. We need to assign the type of the main function. And in the end, before closing the bracket, we need to return that value we have assigned to the main function. For example, we have assigned int main. So we are putting return 0. It means that we are returning nothing to the main function. So in the same way, it follows the hierarchy, and at the end it reads return 0, and then it returns nothing to the main function. In actual, it is returning nothing to the main function, but this is the protocol we need to follow in order to perform a specific task. So don't worry, just get the basic idea from here, like what are the different types of the function, different parts of the different function. And now when we will study different examples, you will know what these terms actually mean. So a complete C++ program, here you will understand what those terms meant actually. So first, hashtag include IOStream. So why we wrote this? Why we wrote this? I will be telling you the basics of that. Hashtag include IOStream, everything. For now, just understand the basic complete C++ program. So hashtag include IOStream using namespace, std, int main. Here, from that program, we are just going to understand the main function. And then we will study step by step, like what is hashtag, why we wrote this and everything. Okay, so int main, again, you can observe this block of code. This is the main function, or one function we can say, this one. Okay, so int main bracket start cout. Cout means we are going to display something on the output screen. So we wrote cout, and then this symbol, and then we will write welcome to the reservoir. You can write anything. My name is XYZ, your name is XYZ, anything you can write. Whatever you write inside these symbols, you can print those things on the output screen, and then we are returning 0 or returning nothing. If you write that program in the C++, dev C++, okay, I will give you the demo of the dev C++ as well. So that will be the output printed on the dev C++. So I will be giving you a demo of dev C++ as well. Okay, if we copy this program to dev C++, okay, this is the dev C++ 5.1 version. Okay, so how you will operate this dev C++? First of all, you need to select file and then new. After new, you need to choose source file. Okay, so now this is going to start now. So here you will write all those programs here. I will just copy paste those programs here, but you will write it manually on your dev C++. Okay, look, this is hashtag include IOStream using namespace std, int main, and then welcome to reservoir. So once I write my program here, I do coding here, then I will go to execute, then I will choose compile and run. So now the compiler will ask you for the library. Okay, I will be saving this thing here in my desktop. Okay, save. Do you want to replace it? Yes. So now the compiler is working for me. Yes, the processing is doing, and it's still working. Yeah, so the compilation time is 9.49 seconds. So you can see here on computer screen, welcome to the reservoir is printed. So this is what we actually needed from the computer. We need to perform some specific task, and it will give you the solution on the output screen. So this black one is the output screen. So coming back to our topic. So types. Now we are going to understand types. One of the most fundamental concepts in programming, a type defines both the contents of the data element and the operations that are possible on those data. For example, when the type of variable x is v, we often say that x has type v, or interchangeably that X is a V. So when we are going to assign certain type to a variable, it means it is that variable. For example, if I'm going to say X has type integer, then X will be an integer interchangeably. So my variable has a type integer. So this is a variable. We are assigning a variable. We are giving the name to a variable is my variable. So this is a my variable has a type integer, or my variable is an integer. We can understand it. So basics, you will always need to write the global function, main function yourself, since it has a special role to play. In fact, it's the main program. The program in previous example contains only the function main and displays a message. The first line begins with the number symbol hashtag. Okay, so now I am going to tell you what those symbols mean. The first line begins with the number symbol hashtag, which indicates the line is intended for the preprocessor. So I have already discussed the preprocessors, the processors, and different basics things in detail in my previous lecture. So you can go through that, and you will understand what is preprocessor, what is compiler, and everything. So the hashtag means the line is intended for the preprocessor. So when you write hashtag, you are directing it to the preprocessor. Okay, you need to start your work now. So the programming works line by line. It studies everything line by line. So first of all, it will read hashtag and it will direct it to the preprocessor. Okay, you need to be active now. Now it's your time to run. Okay, so it's intended for the preprocessor. That preprocessor is just one step in the first translation phase, and no object code is created at this time. So what is object code? I have already told you in detail in my previous in my previous lecture. So the preprocessor is just one step in the first translation phase, and no object code is created at this time. You can type hashtag include file name. Okay. So standard header files. There are header files of the C++ standard library, but for the basic language, we are just studying the IOStream. So what is IOStream? Hashtag include IOStream using namespace std. Following these directives, the classes iStream and OStream can be used with the cin and coutput streams. Cin is an object of the iStream class, and cout an object of the OStream class. So what is IOStream means? IOStream means basically it is directing to the input stream and output stream of the standard library of the C++. For example, the C++ has a certain library in which you can take certain values from that library and use into your program, and you need to assign, or you need to direct those values. Okay, I am taking this value from that particular library, and then I'm using it in my program. In this way, the C++ program will understand that what you actually want to achieve from that program, or what you actually going to do with that program. And in this way, you can do that, you can write that program. So input, output, whatever you are going to input in your program, whatever you're going to require from that program, you need to assign those things you need to direct those things to the C++ standard library. I cannot write anything with outside of that scope. If I write something outside of the C++ scope, then it will give you an error that this is not included in the scope of C++. So input output stream is basically it's basically a storage of some input or output variables, and you are just directing the C++ program that okay, I'm going to use input output streams now in my program. That's why we put hashtag, and that activates the program or the preprocessor. Include means I'm going to include input output stream values in my programming language, and using namespace standard means that I am going to use the standards assigned by C++ library in my program. So following these directives, the classes iStream and OStreams can be used with cin and coutput streams. Cin is basically the input we're going to write, and cout streams mean what the output we actually want on the computer screen. Cin is an object of the iStream class, and cout an object of the OStream class. This allows the program access to all the information contained in the header file. The header file IOStream comprises conventions for the input and output streams, as I have already discussed. The word stream indicates that the information involved will be treated as a flow of data. Predefined names in C++ are to be found in the standard namespace. So there are certain predefined names which are found in the C++ library, and that's why we are using namespace standard. Whatever the terms we use in the program, we need to direct those terms to the standard namespace. That's why we wrote using standard namespace. The using directives allows direct access to the names of the standard namespace. Program execution begins with the first instruction of the main function, and that's why each C++ program must have a main function. In our example, the function main contains two statements. Cout, welcome to the reservoir. The first statement outputs the text string on the screen. So everything included in that symbol, in this one, it will be the text string on the screen. The name Cout, console output. Cout is basically the short form of the console output. Designates an object responsible for the output. As I have already discussed, Coutput is responsible for the output and Cin responsible for the input. The two less than symbols, this one, the two less than symbol indicates that the characters are being pushed to the output stream. Here it's very important to know. If we look at this statement, it means the Cout means this thing is going to be the output. Okay, this is going to the output, and these two directives, these two less than symbols, are pushing those terms ahead of these symbols, that these are the responsible for the output. So this is just up speeding up or pushing something to the output screen. So understanding these symbols will make you at better level of understanding that what you are going to write actually. The statement return 0 terminates the main function. So why did we write return 0? In order to terminate that function or exit from that function, we need to write return 0. And also the program. Returning the value 0 is as an exit code to the calling program. It is standard practice to use the exit code 0 to indicate the program has terminated correctly. As I have already told you in detail that we need to perform some standard protocols, we need to follow some standard protocols in order to execute a certain program. And the exit code 0 terminates that program, and then it's basically the symbol, it's basically the signal that your program has terminated correctly. So now we are going to study operators used in C++ program. So if a program is able to process the data input it receives, you must define the operations to be performed to the data. What we actually need from that program? Are we going to add something? Are we going to subtract, divide, or what we are going to do from that program? We assign those things, we assign some specific task through operators. You could add, multiply, or compare numbers, whatever, through operators. A distinction is made between unary and binary operators. A unary operator has only one operand, whereas a binary operator has two operands. So what is the operand? We will study here. For example, there are two variables, a plus b. So in between, the plus sign is the operator and the left and right are the operands. The binary arithmetic operators used in C++ are this. For addition we use plus, for subtraction we use minus, for multiplication we use steric, for division we use this symbol, and for remainder we use this one. So there are different operators used in C++, arithmetic operators, assignments, assignment operators, relational operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, other operators. Arithmetic operators are used to perform calculations. Okay, so there are different operators you can use, but we are studying some basic operators here in our lectures. So what are input-output operators? During the development of C++, a new class-based input-output system was implemented. This gave rise to the IOStream classes, which are now available in the library of their own, as we have studied in the previous slide, that input-output stream. So-called IOStream library. Cin object of class iStream to control standard input. Cin controls the standard input, and the Cout object of class OStream is to control the standard output. The operator greater than, true greater than is defined in I stream and less than is defined in O stream. You need to be very clear about that. If you don't follow the protocols, the program will not execute. So here is an sample program. We will study this sample program here from our previous learning. Okay, I will tell you line by line meaning of this program. First of all, we wrote hashtag, which means it is directing the hashtag to the preprocessor. It's activating the preprocessor of your program for your operating system. Include means I am going to include input output stream values. For example, there is a large store of input output values in the library of the C++ program, and you are just telling the program that you are including all those values in the input output stream or input output library or input output storage. So the program will read, the compiler will read this thing first, and then it will read using namespace standard. So up till here it reads, okay, the program should be from the program values should be from input output stream, and the user is going to use some standard namespace, and then we are giving a main function, and then we are going to start the function in by this curly bracket. So double xy, it's the type of variable. Actually, double is a variable which is other than integers. For example, the integers are whole numbers, they are 1 2 3 -1, but double includes 1.5 1.6 or something like this. So it's these are the variables other than integers. So we are assigning xy. So what is xy? The computer program won't itself read what is xy. So what xy is a double type of variable. So we are just assigning it to assigning this variable to the class of a variable. Double xy, for example, this double xy would be a type of double. We have already defined this type things in detail in our previous slide. So cout, enter the value of x. So the program will read it here, the cout, enter the value of x, and the enter the value of x will be printed on the output screen. So cin x. So we need to put a value of x in order to perform some specific function, and that x would be of double type. And then enter the value of y. Cin y. Cout the average of the two numbers. This program is basically designed to perform the average of two numbers. It will take two numbers from the users, and then it will make, and it will give you the average of that number. So everything written in these two things, this will be text string, and everything written without those symbols, these symbols, that would perform the specific function. So I am going to write the formula. Like, for example, if a person put x and then put y, and then it will perform the average and it will give you the value. I will put this program in the dev C++ for your understanding. So I have put this program in my dev C++, and then I will compile and run. I will execute this program for you. So here it says enter the value of x. For example, I put 9.8 and then I will put enter. So it says enter the value of y. So I have told you that everything which is included in that symbol, it would be text string, and everything written without that symbol would be the execution of that formula. So I will be putting, for example, 7.9 and then press enter. So the average of the two numbers is 8.85. So this is that much simple. So this is all from today's lecture. In the next video lecture, we will be studying flow control in C++. How do we control the C++? And if you learned from this program, do subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate that, and stay tuned if you want to learn more things about C++, And stay tuned if you want to learn more things about C++ programming, such as flow control, using if statement, if else statement, nested if statement, while do while loops, and other different types of loops. And then we will be studying the functions and arrays in our basic C++ programming learning. Stay tuned. Take care.